We gotta talk Wanda.
You know that made me think of when you did that?
We gotta talk Wanda.
I thought it was like what? It's like sounded like Wakanda. We're going to Wakanda.
Wanda forever.
Wanda forever. Oh boy.
Okay.
A happy movie for everyone.
Yeah.
A happy, feel good, light.
This is good vibes.
Good vibes in the wonderful city where you'll find your lovely paper offices. The lovely city of Scranton.
Scranton. This is a real Pennsylvania film.
This is a real PA film.
Right from the beginning with that big heap of coal, slag, whatever it is.
That's right. Just a giant, just coal. Just a huge mound of coal.
Yeah, you might want to go to the experts for your opinions on indie films about women in Pennsylvania, but some like it unauthorized. And I am Jay Brooks Young.
And I'm Zach Domes.
And we're here today talking about this film from 1970, Wanda, directed, written and starring Barbara Loden, a film that you will find on the Sight and Sound list, but that got a very small release at the time that it was made and was just not really thought about very much for decades. And I think it was really in the 2000s when more attention started turning towards this film and people really started to advocate for it and talk more about the story of making it and what it does, what it says. I don't know. What was your initial reaction to this film, Zach?
Well, before I go into that a little bit, I was curious. Do you know how many votes it got on the Sight and Sound by chance?
Let me see. I think I took a screenshot. Did I?
Here we go.
You got it?
Okay, so it got 8 in 2012, and then it got 48 for 2022.
Yeah.
48. Just thinking about 48 votes for this film. Wow.
It's a very unique film. I mean, I think it's going to hit you a certain way. Some people we're really going to resonate with it, or it's going to resonate with them. But there's not a lot of films like this. There certainly weren't that many filmmakers at this time, so early in this kind of independent boom happening in American cinema, going out and making stuff like this. So I think, it's going to have a lot of historic resonance, as well as, being very well made, very interesting. But yeah, that just it checks enough boxes for people to kind of go no, let's circle around. Let's give this some due.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that. But I mean, that's gonna put it over a lot of films, and not to judge films in a certain kind of order, and it's all subjective at the end of the day and all that kind of thing. But there's quite a lot of fantastic films, historically important, novel, great films that receive less than 48 votes, let's be honest. I liked the film. I liked it a lot. But do you think, and this is a big question to ask right off the start here, but do you really think that, it should stand above some of those that were either not on the list at all, or at least receiving less votes than this?
I don't know. I like that it's on the list, I think.
Right.
Kind of ignoring placement. I like that it's in that 250, that it can represent that independent American cinema, and it can speak to, this experience from a woman's point of view at a time when that was not represented very much. And I think the way that it represents that is really moving and interesting. like I don't know. I like it being on the list. I'm not gonna overrate it just because that she never made another like feature length film or whatever. Like, yeah, that sucks that that's how it played out, but I don't think that's like a super historically significant story or whatever. Like, I don't think that matters all that much to what the film is doing, but I do think it's really good. I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean, and I would agree. And it's like, it's where do you draw a line between like, you know, representation and thinking of it in those terms, and then also just like trying to be actually fair to the art itself and not just the context and the outliers that, you know, make the story of the project interesting. Like, what is the project itself interesting? Does it stand on its own? I mean, and to some degree, yes, like you said, I think it warrants being on the list in general, yeah. But low budget for sure, low budget film here, and it moves at a decent pace. I enjoyed watching it. I was never not captivated by what was going on. But yeah, there was something about it, I would say, that like drew me in. At the same time, I couldn't actually sink in entirely, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I think just in terms of the shape of it and how it comes across, I heard someone describe it as like it tries on a couple different genres before it sort of lands on this bank heist noir type thing. But certainly it hits you like it's like a home movie or a documentary. It's got this look that's very much styled off of something amateur or something cinema verite that's still new, you know, and it's going further than something like Bonnie and Clyde, which I think Barbara Loden was probably conscious of making this film, that it would be a response to, or it would be at least compared to Bonnie and Clyde, because I think it wants to be even more grounded, even more realistic about how that sort of story would play out. I think I kind of think it's a better film than Bonnie and Clyde for some of those reasons. But it's almost like a revisionist noir. You know, we've talked about our revisionist westerns, but this is like almost like another take on a crime story that is almost consciously subverting what you'd expect to see in a movie, at least up to this point. And maybe there's something, maybe part of why you're feeling at a remove from it is because that feels like such a conscious decision. I don't know.
I like that. I like that a lot. It is new wavy too, in the sense that how it revises that genre, it does so from like a very experimental ways. The focus that you have on the main character changes slightly when he attempts to do the heist and get the money and all that stuff. So it is interesting that the character you're focused on changes slightly, and then it will come back to her.
Yeah.
But what go more into, like, what do you think was conscious about the main character? Her acting is good for sure, but the character she's playing is a very numbed, I would say, a very flattened perspective, a very flattened expression. That had to have been a conscious choice, of course. What do you think that means? Like, what do you think that represented, and what was she doing there?
Well, I think it definitely makes you think about the role of a woman at this time. It makes you think about how much her life is dictated by the men around her. The things that happen to her kind of, they are determined by what the men want. And she's this character that has grown to respond or just like be totally passive to men as a like defense mechanism or something, to just be able to exist, to just get through life, to, you know, find a meal, have enough money to get by day to day. Like, she kind of just gives in to whatever the nearest man wants. And I think it does. I think it makes you reckon with the way that those men are looking at women and thinking about women, and reckon with what are her options? Like what would it look like if she was a different sort of person, if she was active and trying to make something of her life? What would that look like? Because you get some sense that there would be a lot of barriers for her. That maybe if she wasn't always like this, it may have been because of how much pushback, how difficult it was to maintain some agency in her life in the past. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. It makes me think of how if women are treated a certain way, have certain expectations of them in this era. She in the beginning, she's got that court case that she barely shows up for her kids, but even when she's there, she's sort of like, she shows up late, and then she's like, well, I don't even care anyways. Sort of this like
yeah, she says if he wants a divorce, just give it to him.
Yeah. She's just sort of just surrendering and giving up. I'm thinking of like, it's the opposite of the movie Daisies, where the girls in Daisies, they are reacting to these pressures, these expectations, but they're doing it in a very playful, fun way. Like they're trying something different. And in this, the reaction is like near nihilism or apathy or surrender, which is another form of power. It has another form of self-efficacy. You're choosing your own path, even though it looks like you're not, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's some kind of choice for sure. But this is an extreme character. But I think I really sympathize with the character, and I find, I don't know, the way that it so brilliantly illustrates the kind of horrors of like dealing with men, at this time, like it makes me sympathize, and it makes me understand how like a character reaches this extreme, sort of like I can kind of put the pieces together without it having to be shown to me.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it does so in such a different sort of way. I think, yeah, it's like, you're right. It is a unique movie for its time, for sure.
Yeah, it does. I go back to home movies because it feels like watching a home movie and just getting this representation of someone that you know or someone that you've heard about, and you're just reading from these images into who they are, how are they feeling, and what are they thinking? What is their life like, and what is their interior life like? And you're really not offered a window into that. There's no device here used to like actually let you know what's going on. It all plays out in a very documentary way, and you can only speculate on what's going on inside Wanda. Which I think is like really interesting. I think it's well done. It's probably frustrating to some people or uninteresting, but I like that, and I think that works with that aesthetic, with how the film looks, how it's shot in this 16 millimeter.
In its documentary style of places and people who are typically not shown on cinema that often, especially around this time. Some of these characters that she finds, some of these people that she finds and shoots are just like the most unique looking people. So I'm thinking of that guy too, like just in the very beginning, that guy talking about picking and coal, looking for coal. The way he talks, he looks like that's what he does. He's not an actor. It's like that's what he does.
Yeah, I think Barbara Loden and the actor that plays Mr. Dennis, Michael Higgins, I think they're the only two professional actors in this. And it, you feel that authenticity.
It reminds me of like a Harmony Korine at times. Some of the movies where he shows, like Gummo, where he shows like seemingly documentary footage of small town America.
Or like
interlaces
Nomad Land.
Yeah,
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a little bit of a tension there between this professional actor coming and playing this role and making this movie, but it's all about these like real non-professionals and stuff. And, there's always a little bit of a tension of like, are you coming here to slum it, to kind of put on this show of like poverty porn almost, and, make this about yourself in some way. I don't know. Barbara Loden, she said that a lot of this like resonated with her, that she came from a similar background. I think sometimes she almost called this like autobiographical, which you can kind of understand if she means that in the sense of like, she moved away and started breaking into acting and got involved with Elia Kazan, a much older man who kind of gave her, some more chances in acting in her career. There's something there where it's like, she's making this all look kind of ugly and dirty and stuff in a way that you might bump up against.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I love how relevant Sullivan's Travels is from how long ago it was made, and I mean, and you're right, it is different. I think people too easily criticize, people who go to places like this to do films and want to show that side of things as, oh, who are you to show it? And it's like, well, I mean, who else would do it then? You know what I mean? Like, you have to, I mean, it's just, and also how are they going to do it? Judge it after the fact. I don't know. I love when people go back to their roots and want to make films that represent a different part of any country, whether it be America or other countries, right? I love watching films that show, a different side of South Korea or Japan, when I'm thinking of not just Parasite, because that's not quite the same thing, but there's another movie, I can't remember. But yeah, I appreciate it because then you get a glimpse as to the countryside of other countries or the other non-metropolitan lifestyles, So she does a fantastic job here. And the joke about Sullivan's Travels is that he doesn't really know what he's doing. And there are for sure times where people don't. This is not one of those cases.
No, this feels really well considered, true to life, and what she maybe didn't know. She probably talked to people and got stories and incorporated more of what she was seeing in the course of making this film, probably incorporated that into it as well. Because it starts, I mean, every location in this is really fantastic. It starts in this house that is literally right next to that big coal pile. Just like here, like a house just sitting in the worst place to be, the most like stress-inducing place. And the camera kind of like searches around this house. We see like an older woman and these crying children, this woman and her husband, and then Wanda is there sleeping on the couch. And they're just, we don't even know the relationship. It seems like they're maybe sisters, but there is definitely a tension there. And they basically tell her, like, you gotta leave. So she gets out of there. But she has to go talk to that one guy and ask him for money. He's like, I'd give you more if I could. Like, that's all I got. It's an interesting, just fragments of just suggestions of these relationships, but these people who are exasperated. That's the word, with her.
Mm-hmm.
And with her just like not doing anything with her life and relying on other people to help her out. And she's so blank this entire time, She's not even trying to like give anyone a sob story and win them over. We don't know if that's like shame or just tiredness, no will to even try at things like that, but it's almost another way of begging, of just being like, I have nothing left. Can I just have like a little bit? That's almost what it communicates, it feels like, when she walks up to people and she's just like, you got any money? Hey, can you help me out?
Yeah, I mean, so what a great depiction and a very realistic depiction of like the American, middle America, where you have all these towns that are, struggling, really, really struggling. And these people who, for whatever reason, have kind of lost the ability to connect with each other, to know each other, like the sense of community is very broken. So not only, are these counties and cities doing poorly financially, but they also have lost their communities. And I think this character, she represents also that to some degree. This person who doesn't know where to go to find help. In America, it can be very tough in that same kind of way.
Yeah, I can only think of like the church if you don't have family to lean on. And what we see of the church in this film is like them going to that Christian theme park later on, where Mr. Dennis like meets up with his father and talks to him. But there's like that tour through this recreation of like these catacombs or whatever from like Jesus's time. And it's garish and it's turned into this commercial enterprise. Like that's not a community,
It's not history.
Nah,
that's brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. So where are you going to turn for a community? And
they're asking you for more money. They're not actually giving handouts or anything like that. They're doing the opposite. They'd be looking for a sign up or for money themselves. So yeah.
Next is in the courtroom. Before Wanda gets there, we get this sense of this big cavernous room. There's only like a tiny little Nixon portrait way up on the wall. But here's another like, I don't know, almost liminal feeling space. This is not a place for community, for like solving problems. It's just for like just getting these things out of the way, making them go away. Her husband is just talking shit on Wanda. Just being like, yeah, she drinks a lot, she doesn't take care of the house, this and that. And meanwhile, she just like slowly kind of appears in the back of the shot, like hovering in the doorway. She just is trying to do the least amount to like get through this. She doesn't even want to walk into it.
Yeah, she's sort of ghostly.
Yeah.
She's like hovering like a ghost in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the judge asks, like, do you have anything to say? And she's just like, no. No. Yeah, let him have the kids. They'd be better off with him. Just like trying to tell people what they want to hear. And that's maybe not even the right way to think about it. But like, just what will shut them up. Like, I don't know. I can't do anything just do whatever you want. I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to even say anything.
Right. Yeah, there isn't, you can only imply what the relationship might have been like, because, without the imagination, you can look at that guy's situation and think that's a bummer. That he also probably doesn't know what to do or, what's good for him. And he's trying to pick up the pieces of all of his crappy past, of whatever parents he had and that little town that he's in. But you have to assume that it was not a great relationship.
No, just looking at how almost any other man acts in the film.
I know.
I mean, the guy, she immediately, or at least it cuts right to her going to this like dress factory where she goes to talk to the manager asking for her pay. And I mean, he seems fine. We don't know, he could be stealing pay. We only have to go off of his word that, they've taken all that money out of her paycheck and, she was left with the little bit that she got. Again, this is someone who doesn't really have time for her or helping her. They're not, she asks for more work and they say, you're too slow, we're not going to bother with training you or anything. Like, sorry, that's all we can do. Like, again, this is the sort of alienation of labor.
Right.
All that stuff.
Right. Even if it'd be good if he wasn't stealing the money, because then this is representation of the country or the state or whatever not being able to help its own citizens while also asking them for too much. How is it that, certain people who have nothing for whatever reason, can't get by, are being asked for more rather than at least, the very least, don't worry about it. You don't have to owe us anything. We'll give you your full paycheck on this one. The paycheck's on us on this one. Is that such a is that such a big deal?
No. It's even as little as it seems that she makes, she's still going to ask if he has more work, because what other option is there?
Right.
Probably the next job is just as bad, even if you can find one,
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, she just kind of has to limp out of there wounded, and next she's at the bar. She's at the table, but the guy sitting at the bar buys the drink for her. And I wonder, at this point, again, we don't know from what's happening in the film, but is there a reputation about her specifically? Do these people recognize her, and that, she maybe has a reputation for being loose or something like that you can buy her a drink and take her to bed? Or is this just, it's a pattern, and you might, if you find a woman like this, that's what you can assume, is what's happening here in this scene, where this guy buys her a drink and then very quickly they're at a motel. Is that speaking to her specifically, or is that something that happens more generally and something that these men are kind of preying on? And, I feel like it might be somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I that's what I feel too. And just as you're describing all these things, it's coming back to me now, really what was going on for her and how she really does represent this feeling of just feeling overwhelmed by all of the different pressures that specifically women are feeling. And so whether or not, I really love how it is it's very gray in a lot of certain ways. So, whether or not it literally meant anything is not that big of a deal. What matters more is that men are being certain ways to her. What's the phrase? I don't know, I forget what it is, but it's like, it's expensive to be poor or something like that. Like it's hard to be when you're low, when you are of the lowly, let's say. For some reason, in a culture like ours, you can find yourself in places where people will treat you even more lowly than you already are somehow. And you'd think that the opposite would be the case. You'd think that if you're struggling in certain ways, you would get a lift or you'd get some help. But it can a lot of times be the opposite. And so this is what this is. This is what this movie's showing us. It's just how hard it is to be struggling.
Yeah. And I think we get a sense that this man that she goes to the motel with is married, maybe has kids or something. There's like, when he's trying to sneak off, there are like presents in the back of his car. And so it's just like, he probably hates his life in some way, and he feels like he can just take advantage of this woman to feel a little better about himself.
I forget, was she sitting in the back the first time she rode with him? Remember, she sat in the back at one point, and he was like, come up here to the front seat.
Oh, that's later with Mr. Dennis. Yeah. That's pretty incredible. No, this first guy.
Oh, there's the first guy. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he just tries to sneak out while she's asleep.
Right.
And she like runs. She wakes up and she's like, "Hey, wait up!"
Because like you said, where else is she going to go to? So she's asking. She went to the place to get work. They said, "Here's $2. Everything else is gone." From that, she goes, "Well, can I get more work?" Because that's the only place she would look for. Same kind of thing. She's with this guy who's probably not great, but she's going to follow after him, because where else and who else would she go? Because everyone else is not giving her any attention or appreciation.
Yeah. If she can stick with him for however much longer, he's got to eat at some point. Maybe she can bum a meal off of him. Who knows? Or we don't know where this motel is, if it's, some distance away from other things. Would it be a walk for her to get anywhere else? That's the other thing about this being set in like a rural setting, is it becomes even more difficult to get around, to be connected to anyone if you can't afford a car. There's some of these places she's able to take a bus, like that's how she gets to the divorce hearing. But this is a temperate climate. It's getting to be winter. Like how do you get around? How do you go anywhere on foot in a place like this? It's rough. But she manages to go get in the car with him while he's not saying anything, but then they stop into this like ice cream stand and she gets out and he just drives off and she's just stuck there like staring at this ice cream cone she's got. And that turns into her in like this mall. She's like looking at these mannequins. It feels like this kind of obvious visual metaphor where she's staring at this mannequin with the blonde wig on it, and then here is she kind of with her hair done in this strange like top ponytail, kind of a disheveled like shirt and slacks on. Like she is nothing like this sort of representation of the woman you're supposed to be that she sees on display. But I like some of these. There's like some lingering in this mall. It feels very dark and cavernous, and I like that. Like similar to that Christian theme park, like these halls of consumerism almost feel, like tombs, or there's something of death in these places. There's something like sad and unreal.
Yeah. But there's something like there's like a sense of freedom there too, right? Like American freedom, like you can buy and do anything you want. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. They're great. Yeah.
They're so great. When you would go to a mall when you were a teen and you just felt like you could go and just go and walk around anywhere, there was a sense of like, at least for me, I remember, it was like the first place where you could go without your parents and you could just wander around the mall. But then as you kind of, as time goes on, you're like, wow, this is a strange design. It's a very strange design. Like you said, it's very huge and liminal.
Yes, most of the time it's so empty.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff on display with no one around.
Yeah.
Yeah, she wanders into that Spanish theater after this, and this is another space. This is not shot lovingly, this is not, oh boy, the movies are so magical kind of thing. Like, they let this space be as dark as it is in real life, and it is also like totally empty. It doesn't like sound amazing. It's kind of echoey. But that's another thing about this film also, is the sound work is probably the most like professional thing about it. Like this whole thing like sounds as good as it needs to. Like this is as professionally done as to like not be sort of alienating to the audience. It's invisible, like you don't think about it very much, but like the Foley work or whatever has to happen for these scenes to feel seamless, like they accomplish everything that they need to. I think it's I don't know. I just think people probably aren't going to think about it when they watch this film, but like the sound is well done. It makes this into a watchable feature film.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like we're now in 1970. So, it was only a decade ago when there really was no camera that you could use and also, record live what was going on, because unless it was like a huge bulky giant camera, because they would all make noise. So I would be curious to know what camera they were using that allowed them to record the room or the scene, because the technology is very new. It's a very new technology. Whatever 16 millimeter camera they were using, they've got those things figured out, how to make very little sound compared to the sort of clunkier classic rolling film cameras that they had in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah. Their sound unit probably looks similar to what we've seen in Symbiocytotoxoplasm, or some of these documentaries where they show you the filmmakers in some of the parts. Like
And
Yeah, it's memorable.
I would add, I would add that, like, as a photographer myself, I don't love talking about gear with people, and they're like, sometimes videographers, they tend to want to talk about it more often, and I don't really care. Like, if I find a good camera that I like, I'll stick to it. And I think that people tend to overlook the technical aspects of film because it is less interesting to people like artists sometimes. You know, if you're an artist, you are an artist because you're creative and imaginative. You're not, technical, and you're not thinking of like, why does this light work this way in a technical, physical way? So I love that there's a shared relationship there between people who keep pushing film forward on the technological side of it, and then there's people who just use it. They're just like, I need this to be quiet so I can record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
they have no idea how that works. They don't need to know. They just need to be able to use it. But and we're still marching through history here from the 50s to 60s to 70s, and technology's developing. At this point, of course, we're going to look back at that and think, how the hell did they do half of the things they did? Because today, the technology has developed to a point where it's a hell of a lot easier. Still complicated on the higher levels, but so much easier than it used to be.
No, yeah. It's crazy to be making a film like this out in the real world, probably using very minimal lighting on film and making that work, without knowing exactly what it's going to look like when it gets processed until you actually process it. And like they dial it in so well, because I'm thinking about the next scene when she meets Mr. Dennis in the bar. That it looks like they actually shoot this at night because it is just pitch black outside. And it looks so much different from all the professionally made films that we've seen to this point when it's shot day for night and they want you to be able to see outside. Like the darkness in this film it feels suffocating. It feels kind of scary and unknowable. So I love that feeling that darkness gives you as she enters this bar, which is also pretty dark, but it is at least like a respite from being stuck out in the blackness. So that gives you kind of a sense of why she wants to be in there, even as this guy is like having like almost a breakdown and like just like berating her, like, hey, we're closed, you get out of the bathroom, like, why are you taking so much time in there, you gotta leave, like all this stuff. And we don't realize that he's robbing the place, I think, until there's a shot behind the bar and we see the bartender like lying on the ground. And you can't even tell if Wanda notices that and realizes that, because her expression doesn't change at all either. If she does notice, she decides like, this guy just came into some money so I can, tag along with him and get a meal and somewhere to sleep. But she's so like, she is such a ghost, she might not even realize that, There's that part later on in the car with him where she's just like, what are you getting me into? Like, is it kind of, does it not dawn on her even? I don't like this character, like she's not really thinking this stuff through. She is such a passive vessel for all of this.
I mean, what would happen if you gave up and instead of giving up and actually just doing your own thing, going with what you actually want to do, but you don't have that capability really. So you give up and you just follow other people and you truly are just like, I'm going wherever that person goes, I'm going.
Yeah. I love that this isn't a choice for her, really. This isn't her saying like, oh, this man is capable of committing these crimes and, living a better life because he'll have this money and stuff. Like, you get no sense that is really coming into her mind. This is just a thing of convenience. She's just flowing in the path of least resistance, and that happened to involve her or that happen to involve him grabbing hold of her and taking her along for this ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they have their spaghetti at this diner where she, like, it's her looking at him, like actually starting to examine him, but he really is not looking at her. He is not concerned with her at all, really, except to say something like, wipe your mouth. He's so, like, preoccupied with himself, and this is, I don't know. I really like this characterization of this guy who, like, is like compensating so much for, like, these feelings of being inadequate and just, like, in some other world, just not even caring about the people around him.
Well, yeah, because we find out he's thinking about this big deal he has to do, this big dangerous project he's working on.
Yeah, this survival, this game of surviving and getting away with these things is something that distracts him from the ways that he's fucked up his own life. So that becomes, the reason to keep going, the preoccupation that keeps him from looking inward and stopping and breaking down. And, like, when it cuts to them in bed, I loved this. This really hit me. This shot where she is awake in bed. He has his back. He's lying down with his back turned to her.
Yeah.
And she just asks, like, do you want to know what my name is, Mr. Dennis? And he says, no. And just, like, this feels so real and like something that we haven't really seen in films up to this point, of just, like, how much men, like, close themselves off in their most, like, intimate relationships. They just met each other, but, like, I immediately see this and I think of, like, people who are in committed relationships that have this sort of thing where, like, the man can go off into his own world and she's not allowed in there, And that, like, the isolation, the feeling of that when you're sharing this bed with someone who all of a sudden can just become like a stranger, like, that has to hit you so hard. And all of that kind of gets communicated just in this shot with very little going on. But it feels so true to life and so, like informed by lived experience of this filmmaker.
Right.
But yeah, they kind of wake up and he sends her out for the 3 plain hamburgers. Make it snappy, literally, like, tugs the pillow out from under her. So she has to get up and go do this. And
he's like, are you listening to my orders? Like, to my specific hamburger details? And she's like, yeah. I thought that was so, I love that moment because that happens a lot these days with social media, people on their phones and stuff. You're like, okay, I'll do this and this or whatever. You're telling somebody something and they're like, yeah, got it. You're like thinking to yourself, I don't think you do. I don't think you do.
Yeah. And I don't take it that this character is dumb. I take it that she's just receded away from life. Yeah. That she's protecting herself from getting hurt by not reaching out and paying attention to things like this.
Yeah, exactly.
So she's going to get it wrong and she's going to get reprimanded and told to scrape the onions into the trash. But, that water off of her back, she's detached. She's zen.
Yeah. Do you think a similar character exists with Vagabond, with Agnes Varda's wandering girl there?
That's a really good comparison. Yeah. Definitely a lot of shared DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Worn down and just, like, numb to the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that's especially true when you have a sense as a woman that there's not a lot that you could strive for, whereas Mr. Dennis has this feeling of, I can be somebody. I just have to, get my hands on some money, but people will respect me if I'm a man with some money in my pocket.
Right.
How did you, through some of the next couple scenes, we get these shots that will be from inside a car. The camera's inside a car, and we're tracking Mr. Dennis, like, as he's searching for like a unlocked car to steal. I don't know. I was thinking of like Le Samurai. Like, this is some real down and dirty kind of filmmaking, but I really like shots like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I take it any day. I loved it. It's what I'm always still upset by at this time, when you have an interesting film done in more of a Hollywood produced setting, and a lot of it is shot handheld or on scene, on location, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, the car has green screen in the windows, and I'm always kind of like, what in the hell's going on here? You did all these things so well, and then you green screen the window. And with a film like this, of course, they can't have that done because they are lower budget. And, well, guess what? Lower budget ends up working out well, doesn't it? Because you stick the camera in the car, and it's fine.
Yeah, up to the point where you're filming inside the bank and you're like going in the vault and stuff. This really felt like a film that almost anyone could make.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're not cutting any corners. They're figuring out how to shoot inside this car, drive it down the road and all that.
Yeah. Which is that cinema verite, it's that documentary feeling too. It adds to that. And as an experience, you feel like you're there. That's the whole thing. Like, yeah, you plop the camera in the car, and the opposite effect happens that I think that maybe people who are more technical may think. It's like you are more immersed into the action than taken out. You watch an old film that had worse technology with the green screen and everything. So you watch an old film and you see the window, the road moving by outside the window, and you can tell it's not real. You're taken out of the movie, for to some degree. Watching this, the opposite effect. Obviously, you feel like you're there, and like you said, it feels like found footage of some guy who was just doing a documentary on some woman that he met. And this is a life of a woman who's given up, and we get to watch and see what it is.
Yeah. And it's around this point in the film where they finally have this time alone in the car, driving to wherever they're driving to, where they get to negotiate what is this relationship. And as soon as she starts asking, what are you getting me into, he immediately is shutting her down with this ultimatum of pulling over, saying, get out of the car. Like, no questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to be in here, like, it's my way or the highway. Just like that, like, she, without really even doing much at all, gets shut down and gets, like, we get this sense of, like, why it is so fruitless to try to act with some autonomy with men in general at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a shitty guy, but, like, he's not giving an inch here. And so she's going to just shut up and go along for the ride. Read him the paper, read him the article about the bar robbery, and he'll give, like, the faintest little smile at the end when it says the couple are being pursued, or the couple are being searched for.
Yeah.
He likes that thought of them being a couple on the run.
Right.
But gosh, it's the stuff that it's just miserable, some of the stuff that happens. He meets with this guy that it seems that he buys a gun from, that he maybe did some stuff with in the past, but this guy is telling him, like, it's like 100-1 odds that you'll get away with what you're trying to get away with. So I'm wipe my hands of it. I want nothing to do with it. He's like trying to get the guy to be his driver. And like time and time again, I think it's similar in the conversation with his father later on as well. Like, people are saying this is no way forward for you, but he cannot grapple with that. Like, he is stuck in this lane. This is the only way that he can, like, be okay with himself, and whatever failures he's had in his life is pretending that he is capable of this stuff and this is going to work out for him. They steal some beer and whiskey, and they go park in a field They have that exchange where he asks her, like, what do you want in life? And she's like, I never had anything, I never will. And he like kind of snaps back, like, if you don't have anything, you might as well be dead. You're not even a citizen of the United States.
Yeah, you don't even exist.
Yeah.
Ghost. She's a ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, by the way, we keep alluding to her experience against men, and I think it should be noted that if she were a guy, a lot of people in the general thought of what she's doing could even almost be viewed in a positive light sometimes. Oh, he just gave up. Look at the life was too hard, so he's going on his own and doing what he wants. As a guy in this culture, what she's doing wouldn't be so looked down on, you could say.
Yeah. There's no sense of like a Robin Hood kind of do-gooding to this guy. He's just a paranoid loser,
Mm-hmm.
It kind of breaks down that fantasy, but certainly, yeah, it would be thought of more positively if she were a man. Yeah. They get the new clothes for her. He's sort of molding her into what he wants her to be. No curlers. Wear a hat on your head because I don't like how you do your hair. Only wear a dress. Just gross stuff, but kind of typical stuff, it feels like, for how men treated the women that they were in relationships with.
Yeah, and the expectation of how they should look on a job. Because he's about to go do a job, and, of course he's asking her to look nicer besides that. But I get the feeling that a lot of the way he is, a lot of his distractionary appearance and expression is all based on his anxieties about this heist he's going to do. So, he wants her to look good, partly for that. He's thinking they're a couple. He's thinking that he's going to do his job. He's going to get money. And so, this expectation of what you look like when you have money or you're successful or you're, doing well.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's all appearance. Like, this does not feel like a relationship. And I think that is saying something more generally about how people can get stuck just trying to conform to the idea of what they think their life is supposed to be or their relationship is supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And they end up worrying about that more than actually living, like connecting to, that person.
Mm-hmm.
This is an extreme, but that's something that I think you can recognize in a lot of people in America, certainly. Is there anything that strikes you about when he goes and talks to his father? He's saying, I'll come back next week. I'll have a good job. Like, he knows that it's wrong, or that his father thinks it's wrong that he would be out robbing banks or whatever. But I don't know. It's funny that he tries to pass it off as he's just figuring stuff out and he's gonna be in a good place, because it seems like his father looks right through this and won't take the money that he tries to give him. Is not going to offer any love or affection.
Yeah, I mean, in some sense, it's going to shed light on some of the more nuanced context for, why he is the way he is and what he might represent. Because for every problematic person, there's some part of their past that led them there, some part of their journey that, caused them to be the way they are. So no person's an island to themselves, and they're not mean or horrible or evil or whatever for no reason. There is a reason, and so, this adds to that, this dynamic. And
you get this vision of what the future looks like in this country. Like, what is it when you enter old age? Because it's here at this location. I don't know what's happening. Wanda seems to be like looking for him. She can't find where he's gone, but she wanders into this upper room of the church or something where there are two old men sitting just watching a TV. They kind of pay no mind to her walking through. Like, that shot just struck me because it's this image of what the end of your life is, what it all means for you to toil at these like low-paying jobs your whole life. Is you get sat down in front of a TV and you just become a vegetable until you die at the end. Yeah, but then we kind of get this quick cut to them preparing the heist, and she comes in pregnant, and you could almost think that this is like a time jump, and she actually is pregnant until we see that it's fake. But like, that's how much of a remove we're at from what's going on. She could get pregnant at any time. We wouldn't know it, really. And he's got his fake bomb on the table in this scene, but the first time watching it, I did not notice what he was doing on the table. So then when we quickly get to the part where they're actually beginning the heist, like, it really, I didn't know it was a fake bomb, but I thought just like, wow, we've really ratcheted up the stakes when he's pulling the bomb out and putting it in the family's lap.
Yeah, I thought to myself, if that's real, then this guy is like the smartest dumb guy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. In retrospect, it makes no sense.
Like, the one thing that he's really intelligent about is making bombs. Everything else, he's...
That feels like American in some way. Like,
yeah.
If anything, we know how to shoot guns, you know? Maybe we can make bombs too.
Right.
But right before that, like, they both take turns being like really nervous and just reacting bodily to the fact that this is so nerve-wracking and that it's going to be impossible for them to pull off. But there's a thing when she goes and shuts herself in the bathroom and he goes in there where he says, maybe you never did anything before, but you're going to do this. You know, that you're going to be active. I'm going to make you actually be an active person. And it's this terrific shot of him behind her looking in the mirror. They're both like, she's turned away from him, but as soon as he is like behind her and they're both looking in the mirror, they're able to like see each other. Even when she turns away, you know, she still has to see him. Like, I don't even know if that was intentional in that shot, but it's like, this is how much a man kind of comes in and controls your life.
Right.
But yeah, they decide to stick up the bank manager at his home. He can't even stick him up. They start wrestling, and it takes Wanda grabbing the gun and putting it on the guy's back to actually make this work.
Yeah. Well, this whole scene felt real. You know what I mean? Like, it was well done. Yeah, it was well done. Yeah.
I know. This is definitely like just someone's house that they're shooting in. Yeah. Like, it feels very real.
Yeah. Hard to do a scene like this. It's something no one has ever experienced. You know what I mean? None of these people have ever actually experienced anything like this.
Yeah.
If you're acting, let's say, like you got brokenhearted, or, you know, some sort of drama of some kind, like, actors can kind of have references in their life to build upon. But a scene like this is tougher because, you know, there's not as many references to draw upon. You have to do a little research and watch other movies, or really put yourself in the experience of what that might be like. So tough to pull off. And for these people, whoever they are, non-actors or up and coming, they did well.
Yeah, it seems directed and acted well in the sense that they all kind of freeze and just watch, you know, these people kind of freaking out in front of them. Yeah, they tie him up and put the bomb in the lap, and then they're going to drive the manager's car to the bank, and Wanda's going to follow. And this is where Mr. Dennis gives her that little bit of recognition and says, you know, you're really something. You did good back there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's all that she's going to get. Because they're quickly going to get separated in town. She doesn't even remember how to get to the bank because this is so poorly done. The cop pulls her over for doing a U-turn. She has to ask him for directions. And then, meanwhile, Mr. Dennis, like, waiting for her to show up at the bank, and just decides to go in with the manager anyway. And, of course, it pops a timed alarm because they opened the safe at the wrong time. And so, like, they open that thing and there's this look on his face, like for a little minute there, he's able to think that he's gotten away with this, that's actually going to work out. Because this probably felt like the point that he would never actually get to, like having that money within reach. But he's going to get surrounded by cops and gunned down here, and Wanda's finally going to show up and just watch the aftermath with the crowd.
Poor Mr. Dennis.
Pour one out for a real guy. And then this is not the end. We get this sort of kind of epilogue, I guess, this sense of where life will go next for Wanda, because she ends up at a bar with this enlisted man and a table full of empty beers. He's just talking and talking, and it doesn't matter that he's seated there with a woman who is basically catatonic. That's no concern of him. He's gonna take her and drive off to a secluded place and try to have sex with her. But she's gonna finally kind of snap out of this daze and fight through that and run off into the forest. And that's when she actually breaks down. That's the only time really that we get much emotion, is she's finally away from everyone and she trips and falls down and starts crying. Because all of this is a way to dissociate from how shitty her life is and not deal with her emotions at any time, which is something that you don't see in regular movies because that's not cinematic, someone just being blank and emotionless. But that's how people are when they are really messed up, in a sense, right? Like they move through the world by tamping that stuff down and not dealing with it.
Right. Exactly. They repress.
Yeah. And then, it's this strange scene where she wanders up to this house and without talking to anyone, just kind of lingers long enough for a woman to notice her and welcome her into this party or whatever this get together is, where people are playing bluegrass music and getting drunk and stuff. And again, here is something that looks like community, but no one's really interrogating what's wrong with her. They're just putting beers and cigarettes in front of her and going on with their party, This almost struck me like a funeral for Mr. Dennis. She finds her way to some kind of group celebration. Maybe it's a celebration of her freedom, his death, or it's just, it's ironic. Maybe it's totally ironic and there's no good in front of her, But
yeah,
that's how it closes.
Yeah. I mean,
very solemnly.
Yeah. The whole thing moves in a solemn sort of way. And I guess after now talking about it for as long as we have, my outlook on it has shifted a bit. I think it is for sure. It's an expression that isn't often shown. It was barely shown at the time, that a lot of people relate to and still relate to. And I mean, it was ahead of its time in that expression in a lot of ways. So
yeah, I think it's pretty powerful. I mean, I don't know how I'm going to feel about John Dielman or some of these other films as we begin to see more and more stuff being made by women.
Yeah.
But this hit me. Yeah. There were parts in here that I went, wow, we really haven't seen this. Some male filmmakers try to put themselves in the shoes and render this stuff, but sometimes it takes someone who has lived that life to really make it come across on film.
Yeah, agreed.
Next week,
The Conformist,
Bernardo Bertolucci.
So be sure to check that out, The Conformist. And as always, unauthorizedpod.com for all of your links and useful FAQ about what we do and why we do it.
Is there literally an FAQ?
No. Info, just your
Yeah.
And I should put an FAQ in there. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
First question, why?
Yeah, what's unauthorized about it? But
Yeah.
we're slowly making our way towards a festival of some kind. One day we'll have the encouragement, I'll call it.
Oh, what are you getting at? I don't know what you're...
Oh, I'm just saying that there are certain festivals you can't really go to unless you have
Oh, yes, credentials.
Credentials.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. So, we are not authorized to go into all those spaces.
No. And we're not going to change, even if one day we get the opportunity, we're not changing the name. It's still unauthorized.
Well, there's always a room that you're not allowed into, right? I think One Battle After Another showed us that. There's always a society behind the society.
It'd be like a film heist.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're like, hey, we're just part of the we're part of the authorized media. Little do they know.
Unauthorized, motherfucker.
Oh, these are the guys from the unauthorized pod. We're like anonymous.
Yeah.
revealing info to movie blogs that no one else knows. Is that unauthorized again? God dang it.
Make this sound like it's
Unless you give
anonymous.
us $100,000, we won't reveal Scorsese's next film.
Okay. Shut it off.